For millennia, we've looked to the heavens for answers, we've built monuments to the divine, fought wars in their name, and shaped entire civilizations around them. But what if the biggest question isn't who or what we believe in, but why we believe it all? What first sparked the idea of God in the human mind? Was it the slow burn discovery of some divine truth? Was it an invention born from our deepest fears and greatest needs? This is the story of belief itself, a journey into the surprising origin of the forces that built our world. To find the origin of God, we have to go back to a time before writing, cities, or even farming. We have to go back to the mind of early humans. Think of it like spawning into a new Minecraft world on a hardcore mod. You have no tools, no crafting table, and no access to the game's wiki. A lightning strike instantly transforms a pig into a zombie mob, a creeper silently appears and detonates, a sudden death sends you back to the start with nothing. This wouldn't feel like random game mechanics. It would feel like the action of powerful, unseen players or mods. This is where the first flicker of spiritual thought likely began. When faced with overwhelming uncertainty, the human brain looks for patterns and searches for a cause. This deep-seated need for meaning and control is a powerful driver for religious belief. When you feel powerless, the idea that a greater force is in charge can be an immense comfort. This impulse gave rise to the earliest known form of spiritual belief, animism. Animism is the idea that everything, animals, plants, rocks, rivers, even the weather, has a spirit or soul. It's like believing every block, every mob, and every weather pattern in the game has its own intention. The wind wasn't just wind, it was an invincible spirit that could push you off a cliff. This wasn't a formal religion, but a way of seeing the world. We see the evidence of this in some of the earliest human artifacts, like ritual burials, evidence of deliberate burials, some dating back 100,000 years, with tools and other goods, suggests a belief in an afterlife, a journey that required provisions. Living in a world buzzing with powerful spirits created a new problem. If your world is running on a complex set of rules you can't see, how do you interact with them? You need a player with admin privileges. This need for a bridge between our world and the spirit world gave rise to an incredibly influential new figure, the shaman. Shamanism isn't a religion itself, but a practice that lives within an anonymous culture. Shamans were the men and women believed to have a special connection to the spirit world. They would enter altered states of consciousness, often through chanting, dancing, or hallucinogenic plants. Think of it like drinking a strange potion to glitch into a hidden dimension, a place where they could commune with the game's core mechanics, seek guidance, and see things other players couldn't. While it's debated, one prominent theory suggests that the stunning hidden cave paintings of Europe, dating back over 35,000 years, may be visual records from these shamanic journeys. The shaman was more than just a spiritual guide. There were the doctors, the priests, and the therapists, all rolled into one. If someone got sick, it was believed their soul might have wandered off, and it was the shaman's job to retrieve it. In this way, the shaman wasn't just communing with the spirits, they were holding society together, turning a general feeling of spiritual presence into a structured system that could guide a community. For tens of thousands of years, animism and shamanism were the spiritual status quo. But around 11,000 years ago, a revolution began that would change humanity and our gods forever, the invention of agriculture. As hunter-gatherers started settling down, villages grew into towns, and towns grew into the world's first cities. This new way of life came with new challenges. It's like when a small, private Minecraft server with a few friends suddenly goes public. The world is flooded with new players. How do you get them to cooperate? How do you stop your new neighbor from griffing your base and stealing your diamonds? You need several rules, plugins for order and shared identity. You need a divine moderation team. The vague, nature-based spirits of animism started to evolve into something bigger, more powerful, and more human-like. A pantheon of gods, like a team of admins with specific portfolios. This is the birth of polytheism, the belief in many gods. In civilizations like ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Greece, these gods were often personifications of nature or patrons of human activities. There was a sun god to manage the day-night cycle, a harvest god to ensure the wheat grew, a goddess of love, a god of war. These deities had names, personalities, and complex family dramas that became the great mythologies of ancient world. Religion became the ultimate social glue. Shared rituals and beliefs created a powerful sense of community. The priests who served these gods held immense power, often advising kings or ruling directly. And kings themselves often claimed the divine right to rule, saying they were the gods' chosen representatives on earth. The god has become essential infrastructure for civilization. Having a whole team of divine admins was the default setting for civilizations. It was a flexible system. When one empire conquered another, they could often absorb the new gods into their existing pantheon. But out of this world of countless deities, a radical new idea began to emerge: monotheism. The belief in one god. It's like replacing the entire admin team with a single, all-powerful server owner. The move from many gods to one wasn't a single event, but a slow, messy process. It was often driven by politics. For a sprawling empire, a single, all-powerful god could be a potential unifying force. We see an early experiment with this in the 14th century BCE, when the Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaten tried to enforce the exclusive worship of the sun god, Aten. This was like a server owner trying to ban all other admins, but the idea didn't stick. As soon as they locked off for good, the all admins were quickly reinstated. This shift was rarely clean. Many societies first passed through a phase called monolatry, the worship of one main god without denying the others. It's the difference between believing your god is the only god versus believing your god is the strongest god. A wide consensus among scholars today is that the ancient Israelites were polytheistic, for much of their history worshipping the Canaanite god El and others alongside their national god Yahweh. The push towards worshipping Yahweh exclusively was a gradual process, driven by prophets who argued that national disasters were divine punishment for worshipping other gods. It's like blaming every creeper attack and failed harvests on the players not following the rules. While the shift to monotheism was a gradual evolution, tradition credits one key figure with sparking a revolution: Abraham. According to the book of Genesis, Abraham came from the Mesopotamian city of Ur, a major center for the worship of the moon god. Think of community dedicated to God, who only controlled the day-night cycle. But in a world full of gods for every biome and every block, the story goes that Abraham made a radical choice. He turned his back on the regional admins and entered into an exclusive covenant with the server owner, a god who wasn't just in charge of the plains or the mountains, but was the universal creator of the entire game world. This was a monumental leap. Abraham's God wasn't just the best God, he was the only God. This idea laid the foundation for the first Abrahamic religion, Judaism. While there is no direct archaeological evidence for Abraham as an individual person, the biblical stories do reflect the culture or customs of that period, and his traditional tomb is a site of reverence. The revolution credited to Abraham was also ethical. A single, all-powerful God meant a single universal moral law. This God wasn't just to be worshipped with rituals, but to be followed by living an ethical life. The story of Abraham portrays him as a model of his faith, not just through belief, but through his unwavering action. Whether Abraham was a historical person or part of a broader cultural shift, his story represents the moment when belief in one God became a powerful, world-shaping force. So, who created God? The answer is a story of constant reinvention. The idea evolved from a psychological tool to explain a frightening world to a social technology for building civilizations. For some, the story is an invention, for others, a gradual revelation of divine truth. Either way, it's perhaps the most powerful story we ever told ourselves, a story that built the world we live in today. But this same idea has a dark side. The force that provided comfort and built empires was also used to justify conflict. Join us next time to explore this difficult and vital question: how God became a weapon.